Now, having understood the concept of regular and part-time employees, let's see how our workforce classified. The classification of workforce is done in a formal and an informal sector. Now, the key difference is that whereas the employees in the formal sector do have a lot of protection in the sense that they cannot be taken for a ride by their employer. They cannot be hired and fired. They have their social security benefits. Now, what do you mean by social security benefits? It includes something like a pension. What is pension? Pension is basically once you've retired from your services, even after that, let's say, typically in today's world, the life cycle of a person is he starts working at the age of 25. He would work till, let's say, 58 years, and then he retires. Now, after 58 years, obviously, the age does not permit him to work, but still, to live, he needs some money. So, generally, the employees in the formal sector are given an assurance that once you retire, you will be given an X amount per month as a salary, even though you don't come and work here. This money is called pension. So the employees in the formal sector normally have social security, they have pension and all these things, whereas the ones in the informal sector normally have no social security benefits. They are normally poor, okay? Normally, I'm saying, not necessarily. And they can be hired and fired at will. That's the way it works in most of the cases. Not in all cases, but that's it to our. So a formal sector, let me take you through an Indian context in this phase. In Indian context, the formal sector will comprise of public sector establishment, which is basically something, the establishment set up by the government. Let's say Coal India Limited, okay? And there are so many of them. And private sector establishment hiring 10 or more workers. So if you are a private sector organization and you're hiring 10 or more workers, then there are certain regulations. There are certain regulations which stipulate that, these kinds of benefit have to be provided to these employees who are employed in these organizations. Whereas the others, which are not public, which means not government, and in private sector, and which employ 10 or less workers, they fall into the informal sector. So a formal sector is one which is kind of regulated, or where the interest of the employees are taken care of, whereas an informal sector is the one where normally there is no protection for the employees.